deadline coming up. Hi. Okay, well, I have 7 o'clock. So, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're so glad to see you tonight. Oh, I see a person, a real life person. Hi, Vicki. Nice to see you. And we are recording this, and we will keep it for those who might want to join us who couldn't be here tonight. And we have Diana Colby and Suzanne Ross with us, both from Keller ISD. I will let them tell you a little bit about themselves when they get started. But we are delighted to have them here tonight to talk about library clubs. I used to work in Keller ISD, and they are like the masters of library clubs. They are so amazing. They're those librarians who you're like, completely, when you talk to them, you're like shaking your head. You're like, oh my gosh, they're doing all of that. They make you feel a little bad about yourself, but because they're so amazing. So we can learn a lot here tonight. I'm so glad that they're here. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I'm going to mute myself, but do you want me just to flag you down if someone has an important question? How do you want to handle questions?
Yeah, if they have questions, they can either unmute and ask right then, since we're a small group, or they can pop it in the chat and you can just say, hey, we have a question. We'll stop every so often and ask for questions. We have lots of fun things to share, and we'd love to hear ideas if they want to ask about each of the clubs or ask about how we did things. We're happy to share. So feel free to stop and jump in and say, hey, what are you doing? Or, well, how'd you do that? And any specific questions, we're happy to take those questions. All right, so what time are we going to?
We're going till 8 o'clock.
All right, so just so we make sure that we don't go over, because when the two of us get going, we could be there for a while.
I'll be your timekeeper too.
Okay, you tell us when it's almost time up. All right, so welcome, and we're so excited to be here. This is about library clubs, creating and collaborating. And we even made it easy because both of us are here together at the same place. So you don't have to see two of us in two screens, and you can look at the presentation. All right, I'm Diana Colby, and I'm currently the library facilitator here in Keller ISD, along with the middle school librarian. And I'm also working on my doctorate here at UNT. And this is my cohort and partner in crime. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Suzanne Ross. I have been a librarian at the same library for 23, going on 24 years. I've done pre-K through 4th grade, but I'm secondary ed certified.
So that's why I think some of our squirrels go a little crazy, because our brains are thinking more on the secondary level, and then we just translate it down for our littles. And we just really enjoy working together. We have a website, and a lot of these resources, actually all our resources, you can be found at www.icentertexas.com. And if you will notice the spelling of iCenter, it's with the RE, with the Australian way, and you can take a look at why on our website, why we use that term and that spelling. So we've curated a lot of our resources, all the presentations we've done, things about our clubs. We're going to refer you back to this icentertexas.com. All right. So we're going to talk about the beginning of first club, and a little bit, why did we feel the need to start a tech library club? And this is probably one of our biggest and most crowning, I don't want to say crowning achievements, but our most,
it's the one that kind of launched us into knowing that collaboration in forming library clubs was a way to go, because you need a cohort that sees your squirrels and also brings in your squirrels into one place, so you can really get focus, and they see things that you don't see, you see things, and it just balances out to form a better club.
All right, so as you heard the word she said, find someone. And that's one of the reasons we're talking together is it really helps when you go into libraries is you can find a partner that you can work with. So why did we pick this tech library club is because we needed tech helpers. When we started it, we were K-4 and our teachers were really brand new with technology we started in 2015. So you're talking back now 6 years. And if you can think back 6 years, some of you were probably maybe still in the classroom. Some of you could have been still in high school, but you can see how far teachers have had to come, especially over this last year and a half with using technology. We also wanted to address the issue of having girls in tech. This has been a passion of ours. You're going to see it throughout our clubs that it was really important for us to have girls in our clubs and girls in technology. And the last part.
We just needed a test group to help us figure out technology ourselves because iPads were leaping and forward in so many ways. Google Drive was coming on the scene and how did it mesh with the iPads and the Chromebooks and then started coming into our library spaces. We needed a group of students that were risk takers and who also were teaching us things that we didn't know how to do with the technology. So they really helped us feel more confident on technology as well as being helpers. So when we had certain groups in our libraries, we could say, where's our tech ninjas? Can you come and help us? We need a few more hands to help students get to their Google Drive or manage their Google Drive or that. So they became our second hands.
So this is our club. We called it the Tech Ninjas. And they got to do everything first. They were 3rd and 4th graders. And if you click, let me just pop that open the website for the Tech Ninjas. And I'm going to also open up an iCenter Texas one so we can go back and forth and show you a little bit of the resources are available to you. So that's the iCenter Texas. And you can get to the Tech Ninjas page if you just click on the Tech Ninjas at the top. And you can learn more about our Tech Ninjas. And if we come back, we really believe it's really important to share what you're doing outside of your 4 walls. That was another key factor for our Tech Ninjas. So back to what we did in Tech Ninjas, we did Google Slides, we've built a website, we've done t-shirts, we've done, get going a little far. We've talked about our expectations. We've Skyped, we did a Padlet. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we collaborated on all this so that I didn't have to do it all and Suzanne didn't have to do it all. Actually, Suzanne does it all and I just steal it all. I just say, hey, I have this idea. And she's like, voila, here you go. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit about the Google Slides and how we use those.
So what we did is first kind of map out what do we need, kind of like just a brainstorm. Well, we need kids knowing how to get on to just basic iPad things like how do you turn on the iPad? How do you troubleshoot when you don't have volume? How does the gear work to find that your camera is turned off? We just lined up all the things we thought we would like students to know and also have ourselves have the students be able to do. So then we thought, okay, how do we present this in a logical way? Diana has this great way of teaching. She uses it's Foursquare and that. And so it's like you have your intro, your meat of your lesson, and then how do you finish off your lesson? And it keeps you flowing through the club time or through a lesson. And so we use Google Slides, and that way, if I think mine was always on a different day than Diana's. I think hers was Friday, mine was at the beginning of the week. So she got the advantage of me finding all the issues with the lesson, and she had polished off by Friday. So Google Slides helped us focus so the kids could walk in, because they were coming in, at the end of the day at 5 minutes apart, so they could immediately get and look up the slide, say, oh, I need to get the iPad. She wants me to demonstrate that I know how to use the the gear to show that an app, and where I would look to see if the camera is on or off on the app. And then they would know what our expectation was to start our meeting. And so it gave a good jumping off point and kept us both focused. So we were both doing the same lesson each week we met.
So it's real time collaborative. So then she would fix the slides off of her after her meeting, and I would have the updated one for mine on Friday. I showed you the website. You can go to the iCenter website, and then you can take a look at the Tech Ninja Club. We're going to stop here in a second, and I'm going to show you the video about our club. T-shirts. Well, oh, that's right. I was going to wear my Tech Ninja t-shirt. We have our Tech Ninja t-shirts. It's just, we are not t-shirt people. And it took us a long time to come up with our design. You can see it on, I think you can see it on the kit. It has this little guy on it. And
it has a QR code on the back, so it links to our website.
So you could scan it and the kids could come in and people could see what the Tech Ninjas were. So once we got a design, the kids were stuck with that forever because we couldn't do it. Expectations, technology expectations. We had to work a lot with kids with technology expectations, especially because we did Skypes between the two schools. And the first time they did it, you see Suzanne's face, it was like, yo! The whole time they're just like jumping in front. They walk up to the screen and they get real close and back up just to watch themselves. So we had to go through expectations on what is proper etiquette when you are in a Skype or when you are communicating virtually. So our kids would have been way ahead for doing classes online because they should have known from way back when how you behaved. And then we showcased, we actually had special guests come in on Skype as well as each other. And then we had our Padlet where the kids were able to do a lot of different things. That's where they would upload their work or get links to the activities.
The biggest thing to remember though, because we had students coming in, we did have other permission slip for these students because we knew that we'd probably be presenting a lot and we didn't want to worry which students could be allowed on the presentations and which ones not. So we sent out a separate permission slip saying we might be using your student on presentations and that. So they did the presentations so we didn't have to worry about blocking out or putting faces. And we have those permission slips saying that they are okay to be used for presentations.
All right, so this is, whoops, I went a little too fast. A little too fast. Okay, I want to just go back and I want to show you just a little bit of the introduction about the Tech Ninjas, because like I said, we did it in 2015. And with it, we entered into what Follett had at the time was their Follett Challenge. And I'm going to play the little video here. Shout it out if you don't hear it. This was what we entered into the Follett Challenge of what the Tech Ninja Club was about.
scraps. I just want to have a question. Over here. Go. Over here.
Safe online. Don't give out your private information. You should always use good manners and never be rude online.
Guys, it's Susan. Here's some internet safety facts. Be safe online. It's always good to ignore rude people. It's okay to tell. Always log off once you're done. What do you have in your eye center? How many Bebop teams does your Tech Ninja Club have?
2.
Oh, there's a haywire? Oh, yeah.
No, you should go and make this dude right here. I
Hello, I am Fairy Princess, and my name is Emma. How are you doing? Hello, my name is Vince, and I am good at...
All right, so that was the submission we sent to Follett. You can read about the case study. You can read about what we did in the club, some of the projects that we've completed. Suzanne's done a great job of keeping the website up to date. So do we have any questions about our Tech Ninja Club that popped up in your head? You could see at the end there when they were asking those questions to the camera. That's when we were on Skype. So they would be asking questions to each other at each other's club. We did learn it was great for them to have those questions written out first, then the etiquette to use when they're talking about technologies. So anybody have any questions on how to do a tech club, how to collaborate, what we used, resources, any of those?
We did require that each teacher nominate one boy, one girl to be, so we made it equally distributed between the classrooms. So not all Tech Ninjas came from one classroom. Each classroom in 3rd and 4th grade had one boy Tech Ninja, one girl Tech Ninja. And the boys kind of were like, well, that's why. And it was like, nope, that's the rule. One girl Tech Ninja, one boy. And once the girls joined in, they became pretty awesome force.
Was it an after-school club?
Yes.
Yes, I was trying to remember which years because we did it for several years. But this one was after school. I think
Later on, I did mine before school, and they would come in for 30 minutes instead of going in, which they for love, they didn't have to go sit in the gym for 30 minutes. They
Yeah.
came in before school. So we've done it both ways.
That's smart. I love that. There's a couple other questions in the chat. April asked, how did you acquire some of the tech materials?
Well, Suzanne is really good at writing grants. She taught me how to write grants, and a lot of the grants we did collaboratively in our district. And so we would write a grant. The two of us would come together and write a grant, and then we could share some of that technology. We would share back and
Well,
forth.
because grant committees, I learned when you say it will be used for just 500 students as opposed to maybe 1,200 students, sounds really impressive to a grant group. And when you say that you're going to be impacting 2 campuses, and I luckily also one being a Title I campus, that was a bonus too when grant committees tend to look at it. And as I said, we would write it. So one I think we're going to talk about later, we wrote one for a robot competition team. Oh my. And we ended up then with robots for both our campuses and that. And so that's how we got like the B bots and blue bots for both campuses.
And that actually kind of segues into the next question, which was, do you introduce coding? So maybe, I know I saw some B bots and such in the video, but everyone might not know exactly what they do.
Okay, B bots and blue bots. B bots started it out, and they're just a basic coding that you do right on top of the robot. You press the forward command, backwards, right, or left, and then you program them, then you hit the go, and you see if they do and get to where you want them to go. The blue bots was their second generation of those robots, and then they ran by Bluetooth. So you could program on a device and then set the robot to going through the commands. So that was basic. We had them help out a lot with the hour of code. Diana started the district with the hour of code, saying, did you know this exists? And then the next year, I believe almost every elementary campus came on board with the hour of code.
And tell them what that is in case they don't know.
Oh, you need to go on to the hour of code, code.org. You can sign up right now. The first week, usually the first full week of December, internationally is the hour of code. They want every student on every campus to set aside 1 hour to code that week. And they have amazing partnership with people you don't think would go in together because they're competitors like Google, Microsoft, all these companies. And they have people write programs for just the hour code. And a lot of times they're their light version of their bigger product. And the kids absolutely, when you tell them their hour is up, you could have a mutiny on your hand.
And we'll talk about, we do have another club that we introduced a little bit later on, our Girls Can Code Club. And so we started that. It launched off of Tech Ninjas, and it was just for girls. But you can see some of the things. This was a punch card that we used. Oh, I'm sorry, Trisha, did we?
There's one more question,
Okay.
and then I kind of had a follow-up. The blue bots were, because I never did have those, I had the B bots, but where you used something else with Bluetooth to control them, do they also have the buttons on the robot itself?
Yes,
So they have both. So
and
that's
the one is yellow, which is the original one, the B bots, and the clear ones are the blue bots, and they are the Bluetooth, and they exactly can do programming on top of them, but they also then sync to a outside device.
oh, very nice. Okay, I think I want one.
Well, and if you don't have the money to go buy one, there is an app for the Bbot app that you can play around with it and see how it just has the little Bbot on it, and you just have your 4 commands. So it's really simple beginning programming. Littles can do it. I mean, we introduced an hour of code. We use it with kindergarten. So you can do really littles with that. All right. So
one more question. Vicky
go ahead.
wanted to know, did you eventually have to have an application process to join your Ninja Club?
Oh, it was a teacher. We decided that we did not want to be a part of telling a kid no.
Did you give rules to the teachers then on like what they should be looking for in their students?
We just said,
Like,
we said we want someone you feel would be a good ambassador that shows respect for technology and seems to be willing to take risk and would not get, be the one that breaks down and starts crying because the thing didn't work.
And they needed that person to be able to come back into the classroom and help troubleshoot problems, because a lot of times the teacher just does not have time to say, if somebody screen flipped over on the Chromebook, the teacher doesn't have time or may not even know how to do it. And the Tech Ninja could go over and help out.
So we've.
And also, you said Diana, you said you were at a middle school. Have you transferred this over to try it with the middle school campus yet?
We just open it up. I have what's called Tech Fridays. And so in that morning on Tech Fridays, I tried to do it like somewhat like this, but the kids had so many varying schedules. What we did is I just opened my library in the mornings up on Friday, and anybody can come, and we pull out the robots. I pull out the different technologies, and each week could be different, something else. I do have a Google Classroom that I send out announcements or whatever. The last 2 years have really squelched, year and a half have squelched my thing, but my 7th graders remember it, and they're asking, when are we doing the tech club again? When are we doing it? So they're pushing me to move forward and get it up and going. And so, yes, we did it when I first moved over there, but not quite as structured.
Yeah, because
as a high school teacher, I would really like a Tech Ninja in my classroom. So if you can send one to me, that would be.
Well, that's the idea we have in our high schools, and that we have what's called the Genius Team. And they are kids that are specifically hired and trained to help with technology across the district. But we needed something all the way down to help us in the elementary, because we were one librarian and just didn't have the ability to get in and help every teacher. And we really wanted the teachers using technology, and they just didn't have the time to learn everything. And we're like, here, let us use these Tech Ninjas.
And you can see from the punch card, at this time, we were between iPads and Chromebooks. So the kids had to be versatile on both those platforms. And as you can see, we were showing them accessibility features, so they could show the teacher saying, hey, you can, stop your keyboard from popping up. That was always an issue with that. And oh yeah, my friend just turned the screen upside down on his Chromebook. Our Tech Ninjas knew how to flip the key, so they didn't have to carry the iPad, the Chromebook all the way down to the library to have the librarian turn their screen around. And then they also had to learn the iPad at the same time. So we were really impressed with our 3rd and 4th graders that they were versatile on two platforms.
All right. So this is one of the missions that one of the fun things we did is our Jedi security mission. We had a lot of different activities they could do, and this is just one part of it. To complete their training, they had to be able to log out correctly on Google, because when we had shared devices back then, not the one-to-one that we have now. So they had to know how to log out and switch out make sure there was no trace of you left on the iPad. So that was one of the things that we had. All right, so this is the club that launched off of Tech Ninjas, and this is Girls Can Code. We had started it, and then we had listened to the girls who code, came and spoke at, I believe it was TCEA.
TCEA.
And when we were there, and so they allowed us to use their logos, and they allowed us to use some of their resources. This was before they actually had a full-fledged club for elementary. And so we were trying to bounce off of their middle school and high school coding. So, and it was just meant for the girls. It was supposed to be fun. So we had a lot of activities. You can go to iCenter Texas and look at it. There's our Twitter accounts if you want to follow us on Twitter. But it was basically for the girls. They came in one morning. Suzanne did, you did 3rd and 4th with yours, or did you go down to 2nd?
No, I went 3rd, 4th. You were the fancier one.
Well, what I did is I let littler ones come in all the way down to kindergarten if they had a sponsor. Usually it was their sister or a friend of the family I cannot run around after a bunch of kindergartners and actually do the club. And this was pretty much on their own. We would put up a agenda on the screen. We would teach them a couple words, and then we would let them go to and do the activity. We had lots of different activities.
We did the binary bracelet, which
Oh,
the
that's
girls
always a
really
hit.
thought was cute. So we also did unplugged activities. So we used like the cards where then the girls would program each other, which they thought was kind of fun. You know, if I show the ace of spades, you are to jump up and down until you see the jack of diamonds, and then you have to turn around 3 times. And they really thought they were really cool when they came up with the different things to program their friend with the cards.
And I did move the Girls Can Code. I took it and I went into the Girls Who Code, and I used their resources in middle school. So I had, when I went over, we were a 5th through 8th campus. So I had a 5th grade group, and then I had a 6th through 8th grade group of girls. And the Girls Who Code, they have a lot of resources. The only challenge with that is that their resources are built to do an hour, and I only had the kids for a half an hour before school. So it would took us like forever to get through any of their things. But what I loved the most on Girls Who Code was that they showed coding in so many different formats. They showed women coding in all different kinds of fashion and art and theater and dance, things that you wouldn't normally think about coding. So it's like, oh, you want to be this? Well, here's how code can work in that. So, all right. Also, Dr. Smith, when I was doing this, her and I were working on a project. She came down and worked with the elementary girls, and I believe she wrote an article about coding from that. And then Dr. Moore, 2 weeks ago at the Brown Bag Lunch, I think it was 3 weeks ago, she spoke about computational literacy and the importance of it. So coding for us is really important because we know it's going to be in everybody's life, and the more coding you know, the better off. And
this year I switched it up because I'm still in the littles. I said you can come in every Tuesday and give up your recess if you want. Instead of going outside, I will open my library during 3rd and 4th grade recess. And girls, you can come in with your iPads and code. Again, the boys got very upset, said, why are you doing this just for the girls? I said, because it's research-based. So I use that excuse that girls need more opportunities to code and see themselves as coders, because boys usually get the nod, it's okay to code.
And that's why we believe that you needed to do this from little. That's why we do our code with kindergarten all the way up. We need kids to know that it's okay to code, especially our girls. All right, any questions on Girls Who Code? It's pretty self-explanatory, and you can access those resources on iCenter Texas. Now, let's go switch a little bit from our technology to just some good old-fashioned reading. And we started a summer reading club, and it was called Beat the Heat. And it had evolved over. We tried a bingo one for the summer. We tried just checking out books in the summer, and we looked at some research that was presented that said, you know, kids need to have access to books. They need to have a variety of books, and they need some accountability or somebody to support them. And so we developed this Beat the Heat summer read, and which was just, it was phenomenal. So you want to explain what we did?
So basically we sent out permission slips saying, hey, would you like us have your child come into the library the last week of school? We'll provide the bag, and they can select so many books from our regular library collection. Plus we had freebie books that we either had just weeded or were donated that we didn't expect to get back. But the ones they checked out the ones from the library. And we thought, oh no, we're going to have this big loss of books. We will never see some of these books again. Well, surprised both of us. I lost 0 books that were supposed to be returned to me. Diana,
I didn't lose any either. Those kids kept those books. We did some informal data collection. Did you enjoy it? We asked them, did you read the books? And would you do it again? And it was overwhelmingly that they would do this. So we just really felt like our libraries, the books sat there all summer long. And our students, a lot of my students, because it was Title I, didn't have the opportunity to get to the library during the summer. So we wanted them to have that opportunity. So they checked the books out, they carried their heavy bags home, and we had the bags were donated.
by Follett, we got with our, well, Diana got with our rep and said, would you donate? And she asked how many, and we weren't expecting to get that many bags that we asked for. And we got the ones that you would see at the conference, TCA, and that Follett hands out. We got boxes of those bags, and they're still being recycled to this point and now. And one thing we did learn from this is that you need to make sure that you put your hot books, if you know what I mean, hot books, your Mo Williams, your Diary of a Wimpy Kid, your Captain Underpants, on a separate table, and you tell the kids they only can take one of any book, because if not, one kid will take your whole Mo Williams and put them in the bag, and that would be it for any kid hoping to read Mo Williams during the summer.
We did try to do a little bit of a digital. We put a little booklet in them for them to read and reflect, and that didn't, they just were just happy to read the books, and so we were good. And then I took this and I took it up to middle school, and this past summer we gave the kids, because we were Title I and we had the funds, we gave the kids the opportunity to select from a very enormous list of books, up to six books that they would like to take home and read for the summer. And so they were able to take those books home. The idea was they just had a sticker on it. If you're finished with this book, please return it to Vista Ridge Middle School. And we did not have the expectation for those books to come back, because we really wanted them to be able to have books surrounding them. So that in that regards, it was very successful. We had kids that brought them back this summer. I have them in my library. The ELA teachers will use them. If the kids want to read a bunch of books together, they will come grab a bunch of those books. Kids will come in, and I do not have that many copies of drama and guts of the graphic novels. And so these kids, they just take them, they read them, they bring them back, and they put them on the shelf for the next kids. And so it's been really good that they have those books. Now, I don't keep track of any circulation of them, don't keep track of anything. It's our own free little library within our library.
And Dinah will be presenting on that at TLA. I won't be presenting with her, which is really scary. This is the first year we're going to be doing separate presentations with different people at conferences. So we decided we still are going to do one together.
Yes,
at TCEA. But at TLA, we kind of separated, and I went with the
you have to
book
check
vending machine with two other librarians in our districts. We are part of doing the book vending machine as a reward thing. Diana's going to be presenting how they made, when she was telling me about her program, how it spun off of this one, that the kids are literally getting to choose from a whole list, and they are brand new books that they got in a bag to take home for the summer. And they chose the books specifically for those titles for themselves.
So, and any questions on Beat the Heat or summer reading clubs?
Yes, I have a question on the Beat the Heat, where those were the books from your own library, right?
Yes.
So how many students participated?
I had 200 kids participate out of I think at that time we had 560 on our campus.
Wow.
The last 2 years, we just kind of call it the COVID years, and they are special years in themselves.
So yeah, and I had over 100 and some, and they took out the chapter books were like 3 to 5 chapter books. The picture books was what they could really carry in the bag. Some of them it was 5, some of them it was 10, and they were hauling them out to their cars. And they brought them all back. We did put on the thing, our email. I put my cell phone number on there that if you were moving over the summer or going someplace, call me. We'd go get the books.
We did put huge, big red tags attached to the handles of the things that said, hey, these are, and just, with all that information. So it's very vivid that this was just not a normal bag that was in your house. So, and we told the kids that a safe place was always just to return the books when you're done reading them into the bag. So you weren't searching all over your house after 2 months. Where is that book? And, as we said, we were expecting loss, but we figured if not, the book found a very good home, and kids need to not.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was one of them. Go ahead.
Also, just so how did you have them come and select their books from as classes, or did you have a certain time period set up, like during a day or two, where they could come and fill up their bags?
I assigned classes to, it depended on like the class. Some classes had 10 kids participating, some had, more. And so I would give them a time slot that last week of school saying, send your kids between this time and this time. And I'd give the teacher a list of kids to send down. And then they would go through the thing, fill up their bag, come up. I would check them out through the circulation counter and send them on their way with their bags dragging behind them.
I think that's probably one of our most successful things that we've done, because the other reading programs, we wanted them to try to read certain books or try to do things. And this one was just, it was
simple.
That was the key. It was simple. We didn't have to do a lot, and the kids got to choose what they wanted to read. All right. So here's why you collaborate when you're creating a club. Brainstorming. 2 brains are better than 1. Having support. It is great to have somebody else to help you out, thinking of ideas, creating the products for the ideas, and then of course writing grants together. That is very helpful. I just can't express that enough, that when you're a librarian in a school, you are the only person in the school doing your job. Most of people do not have a para. We do not have a para in elementary school. So it was just us. And so if you have somebody else doing the same thing, you are better off. And then having a shared digital platform, sharing what you do in your campus, sharing it outside of your campus so people can see what's happening. That's why our stuff is all out there. It's free. We don't charge for anything, because we want people to be able to grab those resources and use them.
Now on the grant thing, now that I'm elementary focused and she's the upper grade focused, it was funny, this last grant turnaround, although we wrote grants separately, we also emailed them to each other and said, can you read my grant, please, and give me insight? And we found what's helpful, because we would say, well, maybe rephrase it this way, or did you think about this? Even though we weren't on each other's grant as co-writers, we found it was interesting to get the perspective of the other person. Mine was on getting a story walk set up around our school.
It's amazing.
And then Diana's was doing this fantastic wall display with nanos and all this. And I just gave her a few suggestions but we had that collaborative. We do it all through Google Drive. So sometimes we share it with each other and say, can you read this and put comments on the side of what you want? Like, this phrasing is really awkward, or here's the phrasing I think would catch, the eye of the grant people.
And this collaboration goes beyond, we talked about some of our clubs. The one thing that we did together that may be beyond a club, I just want to share with you from our iCenter is, let me go to our presentations real quick. We did what we called STEAM backpacks. And you can click here, the resources are here. They were both created for the elementary school right before I left. And these are backpacks. After attending one conference,
and Ruby Payne
Oh, yeah. The idea that you have these materials in your library. Some kids may never, ever have this stuff in their home. They may never be able to access it. And so we wanted to give them the opportunity to check them out and take them home. And so there were a couple things we did. Steam backpacks was one of them. And they're just clear backpacks, and they have lots of different activities. They have a book, and then they have an activity. We've used like the Kiva planks. My kids have been using this year in the library a lot. We did
marble rounds, and we even had robots, and people were really shocked that they could take home a robot. We used Code and Go, mouse, Cublets, and all those, and they are in the backpacks to literally take home and share with your family or yourself or your sibling or a friend. And it's a clear backpack, and they take them home, and like my shelf area is always empty. As soon as I put it on there, I guarantee you the next class that comes in, that backpack's out the door.
And I thought, going to middle school, I kept the older ones that the kids use. And first I had 5th grade in there. So the 5th graders used them a lot. And I thought, well, do I need to still keep them? This year coming back, they haven't taken them home yet. They're just more interested because they have at advisory time and a 45-minute class that they don't always have things they need to do. And they are always in the library, checking them out or doing them in the library. They've really, really loved them.
And what we did is we made sure there was some art things, like she has one that's the rubber band bracelet loom.
Yep.
That they can make, and there's other ones that are a Buddha board. If you've ever heard of the Buddha board, it's basically white water with a paintbrush that you paint on a easel, and as the water dries, you lose your painting.
So that one's pretty cool. So those resources here, we have, this is another collaborative thing we did together, is our STEM boxes to go.
And we presented at TLA on this one. And these are like, oh, we've had them for so long. And the kids, and we've changed them up a little bit. And you should see, she's still on them, even though she doesn't use them.
I still get the pictures.
Because we have a yellow tag you can see on the one that says, please send what you've created to this email or this email. And Diana's on it. So she keeps getting my kids sending her pictures of what they've created, like parachutes or gingerbread men rafts.
So you can see, and the resources are all here for you. You can just take them and use them. Suzanne put them all together as what to put in them, found the resources, but they're just in pencil boxes and they are super simple. The biggest challenge is getting them refilled fast enough for them to go back out, because the kids just want to do them. So what we did is we split it. She had half, I had half. Halfway through the year, we would switch. They would get a new set, so they weren't the same ones over and over again. So this was just something great and easy.
And then because she left Bluebonnet, I said, are they just sitting up at Bluebonnet Elementary School? Can I have the other half? So she brought them down to me at the beginning of this school year. They're gone. And I've just doubled the amount that I had on my campus, and I still run out of STEM boxes.
So that's another way to collaborate together. We did a
robot club, a robot challenge club. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we talked about that Qubit one. That one was we just did a bunch of got a lot of Rubik's cubes and merge cubes, and we did that one right before COVID.
And so maybe we'll kick that off after Christmas.
Yes,
holiday.
Because that one we did it both at elementary and middle school. Now this robot competition one, and it was not a club outside, it was a inside, like the kids could sign up to be part of a robot competition team. And you can see up here, robots encoding. And then I think we've also presented here you guys go. You can see the B bots and the blue bots, but we made a club within the school, and the kids the object was, they were given a challenge. They didn't know what the challenge was. They picked their team, they were given a challenge. They had to go over to the mat with the blue bots, and they had to complete the challenge. They had to set a timer, stop the timer, write their time down. And then Suzanne and I entered it into a Google spreadsheet, and then we would pass a trophy back and forth between the two campuses of who had the best time.
For that week's challenge. We did the challenges on Friday, and we thought it was going to be just so easy, nice, and neat. Our whole Friday was having kids coming in and out saying, we're ready with our competition team. Can you give us the challenge? And it was, I mean, it was really fun, but it was overwhelming. The response was almost too much for us to handle. We needed an aid.
Yes, that one went a little crazy. So we did that one for a year because it was just so much. All right, any questions?
Yes, I just wondered, are there some easy grants that you would recommend to like beginners who maybe haven't written grants before? That, I mean, easy in terms of easy to write and easy to get the money.
Yeah, your education foundations are probably the easiest grants to write, if you have one in your district. And we find that if you can paint a story, and always remember that the committee is made up of non-educators, so you can't speak the education lingo. You can include it, but you then also remember you have to define it. So don't use the acronyms that we just throw out there, STAR test, or you need to make sure. I paint pictures like, can you imagine kids walking and going and reading in the great outdoors? Well, I can with a storybook walk. So I always start with kind of painting a picture. And grants by your education foundation, I think, are the easiest ones. I have been successful with Target, doing grants from Target for a reading club. And those are pretty easy to write. The harder ones are your national ones.
Yes.
Your national ones require you to do a lot more research, tying it to research based credentials and stuff. And so that the hardest one for us was writing the Follett challenge one.
Yeah, it took us our entire Christmas break or winter break.
Yeah.
We spent just about every day getting together, writing it. We had started it, we had been using it, but then we had to write it up. You have to put it in a format that they're going to read.
Did you get funded for that one, the Follett?
Well, we got rewarded at the end because we, I think, put forth the effort to do the video, very child-centered, and writing it. We each got $30,000, $15,000 each.
Ooh.
And that really boosted our technology in the library, because once we had won that, we used a lot of that to refurbish that gave us our 3D printers, that gave us some other tablets, it gave us so many things that we could use on our campuses.
So yeah, so I mean, look around and see. I know because we are here in North Texas, someone told me that Lockheed has a great grant that sometimes doesn't even get applied for that. As I said, education foundations are really the ones that we hit the most for our grants. And I think every year, at least one of us has gotten a grant. If not, one year you got 2 and I got 2. We got 4 grants between us. And
yes,
so sometimes we don't write grants together. So we write them separately, and we seem to get them because you write so you show the impact to the student or your reading community. It really, I think,
librarians have a much easier time on those education foundations because you impact an entire campus.
Like our bookmobile. Keller ISD just got a bookmobile. We used to take a school bus in the summer and take out seats and do that. And we said, well, why can't we do a bookmobile? And so they got a superintendent on board, because that was his gateway to reading when he was a kid in Oklahoma. And he was like, write something up for us and then we'll submit it to the education grant, and then whatever they can't provide, I will find funding to match.
So yes.
I have a really quick question. It'll be really short, I promise. You had said early on, you had said that you didn't put like in your grant writing. Oh my gosh, it's Kevin. You didn't put in your grant writing that it was 1,000 students, you put 500 students. So I'm at a 6A school. and we have a huge student population. So what's the different, like, so, like, I guess I'm asking, like, is it better to say that I'm focusing on a smaller group?
No, we instead of doing just 500 for her campus and 500 for my campus, we did 1,000 kiddos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're as a high school showing that you have 3,000 you can impact speaks a lot. Or sometimes doing those special populations that you will be, focusing, that sometimes is impactful. But showing that you're doing like a storybook walk that's not only going to impact the students during the school day, but because it's going to be outside the building, it is never locked. You have just opened the book up to the whole community. So you have to look at the bounds in which the grant parameters are, and then focus on that. And we find focusing on how many students you're going to impact and what is your goal, like the technology ones. We're going to bring Sephiros. We did one with the whole district, and we got the district librarians behind it and basically wrote the grant and said it would impact 10,000 students.
Because it was a traveling kit.
And yeah, and we did it with the Google Expedition. It's going to be
Yes.
a traveling kit. I did one with the Hudson Foundation for a traveling museum. And it's showing that impact it's going to give, and that it's not maybe just a one-shot program, that you wanting it to continue from year to year, I think helps out a grant committee.
And we do have about 4 minutes left,
Okay.
just letting you know.
Okay, so this is us. It is always squirrel. What's next? More squirrels. We've done teacher tech challenges between the campuses. We've done design thinking activities between the two campuses. We present at conferences together. What we're saying is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Find someone that you can connect with that works. It can be in your district. It can be out of your district. Find that person that works well with you, and then it just makes life a lot easier, more enjoyable. Librarians spend so much time by themselves, working by themselves, coming up with ideas by themselves. Grab somebody, become a partner, work on the things together.
And also look at what's happening around you, like Pokemon Go. We were able to take that and turn it into a great challenge because we knew that was hot with the kids. And sometimes just putting that kind of stamp on it brings the kids into the library. But as I said, as she said, trust, and that's why we do the iCenter Texas. We want you to know there is a place that if you just feel like I need something new, oh, look here. And then we always say, email us and we will answer any questions you want to say, yeah, we tried it and these were things that we found successful. And here was a challenge. Maybe you can help us figure out how to overcome the challenge because you see it from a different perspective. But work as a community, that's makes it all better.
All right, any final questions?
I just have one more, sorry.
Okay.
And then I'll let someone else ask a question. So Diana, do you find it's harder to get middle school kids involved in the clubs or not compared to elementary?
Well, this year has been really different. The last couple of years, I struggled to get kids to be part of it, like even our Battle of the Books clubs. And this year, the kids really want to be part of something. And so my normal 12 kids in my middle school, 7th, 8th grade Battle of Books, I have 73 signed up.
Wow.
This year, they are craving any social interaction. So they are ready to come and be part of the clubs. The middle school is a little looser. I mean, I want it to be inclusive. And so I'm really hard at like picking just a handful of kids. Let's open it up. The goal of this club is reading, or this club is to introduce you to text. So we just open it up, and who can make it comes and hopefully shares those ideas with their friends, and then more friends come.
Right, wonderful. Good. Does anyone else have a question? Because I thought of another one, but I'll let someone else. If you have a question, I don't want to hog. I know we just have a minute left. All right, then I'm going to ask my question. You were warned. So with this, like the STEM boxes that you check out and the backpacks, have you changed what you do now with the whole COVID thing? Or I know last year people were,
They were shut down last year. They just didn't
okay,
circulate this year because the research showed that the spread wasn't happening from, books and stuff
yes,
like that. And even though we quarantined things last year, we probably didn't need to do the quarantine like we did.
yes.
We aren't, and I don't think anyone can trace any of the spread of COVID to the library giving those things out.
Yeah, it just is, it has not been an issue. Parents haven't said anything, kids haven't said anything, teachers haven't said anything, or even issued any concerns with it. So right now, it's just being checked out and used as needed.
Now, balloons in my balloon car, one, I always throw the balloon out. I never
COVID or not
throw the
COVID,
balloon. I always throw
there's
the
just
balloon
things,
out.
there are just things you throw away.
Yeah, my popsicle sticks that are for making the raft and stuff,
Mhm.
I recycle those but like the balloon is one thing no matter pre-COVID, I threw it out. Even if it looked like it was never blowing up, I just don't think that should be.
The idea is enough to make you kind of shudder a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, does anyone else have a question before we let these amazing librarians go? Going once, twice, three
You
times.
email us, we're here.
Email us our.
You guys, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. I'm amazed. 4 grants in 1 year. That was a lot. That's fantastic. But you know what, that gives people information that if one person gets a grant, another person can, So just try. I think you were right about sometimes people don't try and the money can just sit there.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
if you really want to, we both have grants that we've written, and it might be just the Keller way but we're more than willing to share what we wrote up for.
So you
to
can
our
see a
grants.
sample and stuff.
And we got awarded one.
That's
Not much
wonderful. Yeah, if you don't, whatever you don't mind sharing, send to me, and I can even put it on our website for the multi-literacy lab, so people kind of have ideas.
Yeah, like the storybook walk is a trademark thing, but I wrote the grant for that, and that would be one that would work great for literacy.
Yes.
And I want to see pictures of that too. Where can I go on the storybook walk?
Yeah, mine is a very short storybook walk. It's in the back of Park Glen around my playground, mini
Yeah,
playground.
you're not that far. Just come over and look
But
at
right
it.
now it's a test site, so it doesn't fly away. Our first one kind of started flying around the 40-mile-an-hour winds. We got bigger stakes and better Velcro. And now, so far this week, they are held onto the sign.
Oh, yeah, because it's getting a little gusty this week.
Yeah.
I'm coming over to take the walk. That's so it's available outside for anyone. I mean, it's
around our playground on our back
Oh.
side of the backfield.
Then I might have to check in and let them know I'm there.
Just walk around the back, and it's
Okay. So you don't have to let the school know that you're walking around the playground. They know it's okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a community center.
Okay, that's Park Glen Elementary in Keller, if anyone wants to go. You guys, thank you so much, Diana and Suzanne. That was fabulous.
You are welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you to everyone for coming too. It was great to see you. Oh, Whitney's teacher is on here, Mrs. Knight. Hi, Miss Knight. My daughter's teacher is here. She says, "Hi, Whitney." It's nice to see everyone. So take care and have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye. 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 I will stop recording.